Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello, all you pigskin fans of football. Welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you once again by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is my partner, my good buddy, my bestest friend, Mark Souza.
How's it going, man?
He's not really my best friend. I'm doing good. How are you, best friend?
I'm doing good, even though everybody in the NFL is a terrible team. I'm doing good. Everybody's terrible.
I wouldn't say. I think that's a little presumptuous, don't you think?
Everybody sucks.
I think that's a little. Would you say that to their faces?
Yes.
You would go up.
Oh my God! Please, can I please do this?
Would you go up to, let's say, Tom Brady and the Patriots say they suck?
Tom Brady is like the least frightening person in the NFL. Yes.
But he's always going to have like.
You gave me a pass when you said Tom Brady. I thought you were going to say like Aaron Donald, and I'd be like, I might not.
All right, Ndamukong Suh, tell him.
No, I don't want to, but I would.
Well, I would say just like he might.
I cannot tell a lie.
Okay. Well, you just lied because not all the teams are bad. They had a bad. This was a horrible week for teams.
Let's put it this way: if the Saints lose tonight, every team is terrible. Every team.
There were a lot of bad games, but that doesn't make them all bad teams. You can have a bad game. You take it one down.
God, don't ever do that again.
What? You don't like that song?
No.
Well, then
who does? Who likes that song?
That's a lot of people do, actually.
That's like a song for like
for the fantasy football
for
commercials.
Like grandmothers, you know, like that's cool.
That's a little harsh.
You had a bad day.
You're just
yeah. That's a dumb song. Don't
okay,
like
what songs do you like?
Songs that
you notice that not everyone agrees with your taste in music.
That's unfortunate for them.
What's your wow arrogant?
What's
much?
wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you?
You're so negative.
Why are you so disturbed by the things that I say?
Because you're so negative. Be positive. Come on. My father was on my case.
I am positive.
No, hold on 1 second. My father is on my case of being negative in real life, and I sometimes look at negative things. Sure, I look at the negative side, but man, I look at the positive side when it comes to this podcast, and you always look at the negative side.
You want to hear positivity?
Please.
The bad teams in the NFL are not as bad as everybody thinks.
Okay, fine. That sounds great. Perfect.
That was a half glass full kind of conversation.
Yes.
Right there, right?
Boom. Perfect. Okay.
Now I'm on the right track.
All right.
That's something I could build off.
That should be the show. Thank you so much for joining it. I'm kidding. Yes, we will talk about this now. We will talk about what has happened in the world of football this Week 15 matchups. Mm-hmm. First, we got to talk about a shutout between the Cowboys and the Colts. 23-0. The Cowboys shut out for the first time in over 15 years. And that is saying something.
This is what I was talking about. Just when you think the Cowboys are good, they remind you that they're not.
But does this show how good maybe the Colts are rather than how bad the Cowboys were?
I think it shows that the Cowboys are not as good as they've been playing, and the Colts, yeah, I would agree with that. The Colts are a good team. They've been, even in their one recent loss against, was it Houston? They played good.
No, they beat Houston.
Sorry, who did they lose to last week?
Last week they beat Houston. You mean the week before?
Was it the week before? They have a loss because they went on that
The week
roll.
before they lost to the Jags 6-0. Yes. They got shut out and then they delivered a shutout.
The Colts had their shutout game. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But they only allowed three 2 field goals against the
Let's
Jaguars.
go back to what I said at the beginning. Everybody's terrible. The Colts got shut out by the Jags.
They have a good defense.
Josh Johnson even had a touchdown pass in that against the Jags this week.
They're still a solid defense. They're not like the worst defense in the NFL. They still have a
they
lot of
lost
good.
to a team 6-0. Like, isn't that sad?
That's not
if
sad.
your favorite team lost to a team 6-0,
Oh, I would be bored out of my mind, no question.
cry.
But I would say maybe this
cry.
is a defensive matchup
you
for
would
sure.
cry. I would cry.
I wouldn't cry over a 6-0 loss. I would just be like, "Are you kidding me? That I watched a
lost.
2-hour game for a 6-0 loss." Yeah,
I would cry because if somebody told me that my favorite NFL team was going to give up 6 points and not win, I would cry. I would actually cry. We'd only give up 6 points and we can't win that game.
Man, I think it's a very easy way to torture you if you were ever captured by the enemy.
Yeah, make my team get shut out.
Make you watch the time like your favorite team loses, or like.
So what do you got to say for the Cowboys?
Watching Week 15 in the year 2018 might kill you.
What do you got to say for the Cowboys fans?
Relax, take a deep breath, and you might not win the NFC East.
And fire everybody, right?
Well, I think a lot of people say Josh Garrett should be fired.
Jason Garrett.
Sorry. I don't know why I said Josh Garrett. Jason Garrett should be fired.
Well, he's not getting fired now.
Unfortunately for the fans, he's been their coach for what? Since 2010?
I think before that.
Sooner?
Right?
Jeez. And he's done virtually nothing. Has he won a playoff game?
He's won one, I believe.
And it was against the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm sorry.
They play the Bucs this week. Maybe they'll get back on track.
Yeah, but again, I can easily see them like with Nick Foles back as a starting quarterback for the Eagles. I can see them losing their NFC East title to the Eagles, and Nick Foles doing it all over again because oh my gosh, it's happening again.
Ezekiel Elliott, he didn't have a great game. Marlon Mack,
87 yards rushing.
Marlon Mack, though,
he went off over 130 yards rushing. Is he in the next is he the next elite running back in the NFL?
I wouldn't say that, but it goes to show how good the Colts offensive line has become the last.
All right,
years.
let's look at it fantasy wise. Do you see him as a top first or second round pick in the next year's fantasy draft?
I say hard no on that.
Do you say it would be tempting?
Somebody might.
I think it'll be an interesting selection. I don't think it'll be a stupid selection. I think it'll be I could see that happening selection.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Couldn't be me.
I don't know. I see a lot of promise in this young man.
He's a decent player. How about we talk about the Steelers and the Patriots? Speaking of teams that are underwhelming, the Patriots fall 17-10. They are now 9-5. Pittsburgh is 8-5-1. Neither of these teams look to me like a Super Bowl team. I know that one of them probably will do well and run the table or something weird, but I don't see it, man. Tom Brady in that offense scoring 10 points against Pittsburgh. Gronkowski looking average. We just saw the Steelers give up a lot to tight ends, yet Gronkowski was bottled up. Not a lot of big plays, a defensive struggle. And on the other side, Pittsburgh didn't really show up either.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was. Is underwhelming the right word?
Yeah, 17-10. We thought that this game probably would have some points in it, right?
Yeah.
Roethlisberger, Brady, Antonio Brown, Josh
Le'Veon
Gordon,
Bell. Oh wait,
Gronkowski.
is it too soon? Oh wait, not Le'Veon Bell. James Conner, right? Oh wait.
Still, though, Jalen Samuels actually really had a good game for the Steelers. Believe it or not.
Yeah, but it really sucks when you have two running backs that have been on a roll in the last last year. Le'Veon Bell, one of the best running backs in the league, and then you have James Conner who took over and did absolutely fantastic, and they're both gone. Mm-hmm. It's like that South Park meme. Here's James Conner, and it's gone.
Yeah. So these two teams here. I mean, I really don't know what to say other than the Steelers won. Got to give them credit. But did they really show you that they're a Super Bowl contending team with this win? I don't see that.
No, I don't even see them make it. If they make it to playoffs, I see them losing one and done.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, but I don't even know if they'd win their first game. It just depends who they play.
Yeah.
But if they play the Chargers or the Chiefs in the first round, I'm not taking them to win. No way. I don't care if it's in Pittsburgh. No way.
Yeah, they're not the same team as they were last year, and even last year they lost to the Jaguars and made Blake Bortles look like a star. So I'm not sure if that's how good the defense was for the Jaguars or how bad the defense was for the Steelers. We'll leave it up to you. The fans.
Man, Tom Brady's starting to look like he's his age. Instead of playing like he's 10 years younger, he's starting to look like he's 41. He's not throwing the ball nearly as effectively.
Yeah, you got a point there. Do you think that's troubling for next season to come?
I mean, you have to think so. How many games has he had this year where he's like, you've been like, man, Tom Brady really had a game. Like, he's been pretty average, you know? Now, I'm sure he'll run the table in the playoffs and win it all, and everybody be like, oh, Tom Brady's the GOAT. But
can you deny that, though?
I'm just saying he's been underwhelming, but it would not shock me if the dude turns it up in the playoffs. But he's starting to look like he's slowing down, like, for real. Like, this is starting to be him and Gronk. Him and Gronk, I don't feel like if you didn't know who they were, like if this was your first year watching NFL, you wouldn't think like, man, these are two of the best to ever do it at their position. Like, you really wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying, if you had no prior knowledge of the history, like if you didn't know that Tom Brady won 50, 100,000 Super Bowls and Gronkowski was just, like waking up and getting 100 yards and 2 touchdowns every game as a tight end. Like, you would never know. You would have never known that.
No, absolutely not. You got a point there. And does it show maybe age matters?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think so. I mean, what Brady's been able to do has been incredible. I'm not sitting here saying
he is 41.
He's 41. He's not 31 and over the hill. Like, we're talking about a dude who's played, 20 years in the NFL? Like, come on.
Let's see. He was drafted in the 2000 draft, so
yes,
18 years.
Almost 20.
And he's won 5 Super Bowls that's 5 out of 18.
And he's been to the playoffs every single year he's been healthy,
yeah,
right?
and 5 out of 8, won that one year in 2008 after the undefeated season. Yeah, and they still went 11-5 with Matt freaking Castle. And they didn't make the playoffs because the Dolphins had like this miracle, unbelievable season.
Matt Castle, his calling card will be an answer to a trivia question.
Yeah, he still probably has millions of dollars still though. So, bless his heart. And I think he's still in the NFL. Is he back up in Tennessee? I think that's where he
probably is.
Anyways, moving on. I don't think anyone cares about that. But the main thing is you got to look at it. Brady might be done. I don't think he's retiring after this season. I don't know when his contract officially ends, but I think when that time comes, he's going to retire. I don't think he's going to renew a new contract or anything like that.
Yeah, I would say Brady's got, I don't think he'll retire this year or anything like that, but he's not looking like the same, man. Anyways, why don't we talk about, what was your next team you want to talk about? The Sunday Night Football game?
Sure, we can do that. Eagles and Rams. Nick Foles returning to the starting job after the fractured back of Carson Wentz, and he goes and beats the best team in the NFL, arguably, in a pretty low-scoring affair. Well, I wouldn't say low-scoring, but low-scoring for the Rams, I would say. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the final score was 30-23, and Nick Foles, I know he didn't do that well. I mean, he threw no touchdown passes and threw an interception, but regardless, he helped the team win. And I don't know. After I saw this game, I was like, is he going to do this again? Is he going to make the playoffs again? And is he going to make it to the Super Bowl again and get Super Bowl MVP again? Is this happening all over again?
Nick Foles will win the Super Bowl.
Are we just setting that in stone right now? What
the heck is going on with the Rams? Can we talk about that?
Sure. What's going on with the Rams?
They're not adjusting at all. The Bears and the Eagles have out-schemed them the last 2 weeks. I get it. The Bears have Khalil Mack, and they have a good defense. The Eagles' defense got torched and has been getting torched all year.
What did the table ever do to you, Ben? You keep banging on the table.
Man, how the hell is Sean McVay going to sit up here and tell everybody how smart he is, and he can't beat a team that Dak Prescott threw for 400 yards against? 400.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles' defense is atrocious. You agree with that, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that.
And, yes, the Rams almost came back in that game, but their offense was struggling all game. Terrible all game.
Do you put this as a major concern for the postseason for the Rams?
Absolutely, because now it's 2 weeks in a row. We heard Sean McVay after last week against the Bears like, oh, this is humbling. This was like a humbling experience. Well, it didn't change anything. Now it's time. It's a gut check time for the Rams. How they do in the next 2 weeks will determine how they do in the playoffs. And I get it. They're regular season games. They don't matter that much. But they need to find ways to adjust and have that offense be successful again, or they will be out of the playoffs early after having such a great first part of the season. For most of the season, some people would say they've been the best team in the league, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, arguably.
And if they continue to struggle the next couple weeks, you could see them having a very short playoff run, which would be underwhelming.
Very underwhelming. And, I mean, after all that time contributing and trying to get to the playoffs and playing how well they've been playing, to be like one and done, which might happen, that's got to be a failure of a season, no?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But the Eagles with Nick Foles, what can you say? He's a Super Bowl MVP, you know? What can you say? But all jokes aside, the Eagles play the Texans this week, and then they play the Redskins.
Okay, I'm going to say this. If the Eagles beat the Texans, they're getting in the playoffs. I'll say that right now.
They could, but there's
I know it's logically it's not like winning in type of thing, but I'm saying if they win and they make the playoffs, they might be Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't control their own destiny.
Yeah,
though.
they got
so they do need help, but I could see it happening. If they win this week, the momentum will be big time. So
it's truly amazing if they do make the playoffs and they could win their divisions, and they have not a very good record.
Mm-hmm.
And
speaking of,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say at the end of it, like, is it like if lightning strikes twice again and Nick Foles takes them to the promised land? I'll be speechless. I don't. Then what happens? Is he Tom Brady? Is he the new starting quarterback officially for the Eagles? Is he like permanent quarterback and they get rid of Carson Wentz?
If
Nick Foles does it again, they get to the Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz.
He's either a guy for life.
Yes, absolutely.
But
what are you going to do? Trade a 2-time Super Bowl champion back to back? No, you're going to trade the other guy.
But like, how many? What would you trade? What would you give up for Carson Wentz?
I don't know.
How many draft picks?
I don't know.
No. Answer the question.
For Carson Wentz, I mean,
3 first-rounders?
If I'm a team like the Jaguars, I'd probably give up 1 or 2 for sure, maybe 2.
I feel like he's worth more than 1 first-round pick.
He hasn't done anything, though. He had a good run, and then he got hurt, and then he's hurt again. Like, I know he looks promising, and I think he's a good player, but you have to think, at what point is it worth it just to keep your draft picks and draft a quarterback instead of trading multiple first-round picks for an injured one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of teams that have been surprising, how about the Bears? They celebrate the NFC North title yesterday as they win over the Packers 24-17. Aaron Rodgers once again had a tough day at the office, being pressured, being hurried, being sacked. The Chicago Bears and that defense, they're showing up, Jeff.
They are showing up.
And they're one of the few bright spots from yesterday, in my opinion. In a week of head-scratching results by certain teams, the Bears did what they needed to do, and they won.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears are your NFC North champions. I think that surprised
we didn't
a lot of
expect,
people.
yeah. And when they got clear back, like, okay, this team can do well in the next couple of years. They can develop easily. And we didn't know they could develop this quickly. And like, this just shows how important Khalil Mack is on a team and how good he really is. This shows him to be arguably the best linebacker in the NFL, no?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so.
Yeah, it's truly just amazing when all around you're going to be that good, that intimidating to the offense, and where they're looking at you the whole time, and your players around you are making plays. That's what's happening here. Mm-hmm. And he's so good he can make sacks behind his back. He made a tackle he made the sack on Aaron Rodgers with his back in this game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
on fire.
The
dude is
Lord.
a wrecking ball. Like, that's what he is. He is a absolute wrecking ball. What about what's the next thing we want to talk about? What's your other best of the week? Vikings? I think you had Vikings.
All right, Vikings. We have Vikings and Dolphins as they just dismantled the Miami Dolphins after their miracle in Miami last week.
No Miami Miracle last night or yesterday.
It was Minnesota for sure. It was Miracle. We talked about it. It was Miracle versus Miracle, and it was 41 to 17 Minnesota, and it was Delvin Cook all the way.
Yeah.
This was Delvin Cook for sure.
134 yards, career high.
Not 136 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Career high for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just an absolute beast everywhere. Kirk Cousins had a couple nice touchdowns.
He threw only 21 passes for him and threw 2 touchdowns still. And only got sacked twice, but they were combined 17 yards total. So what do you think about it? But still, Ryan Tannehill didn't have that best of the game. 108 yards passing, which is below average if you want to call it for a quarterback. And, they also ran the ball pretty well. They had a running back with over 100 yards and 10 average. They had 12 attempts. I'm going to try to say this as best I can. Ballage? Is that his name?
Kalen Ballage?
Ballage, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so bad with names sometimes. But it was 12 attempts, 123 yards, 10 average.
Long carry.
He had a 75-yard run.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the wide receivers in the receiving. Amendola was the leading receiver. He had 30 yards. 8 targets, only 3 receptions.
Yeah, Minnesota, they make the change of offensive coordinator. I think it really paid off. Their defense, I think, is pretty good still. They have up and down games, though, which is weird.
Mm-hmm. And Frank Gore in this game suffered a sprained foot. He's most likely done for the year. And if he's done for the year, do you think he's retiring?
Who's that?
Frank Gore.
Yeah, he's just already getting
Hall of Famer, right, though?
I would say so.
Yeah, he's one of the top in
he's
total
like
yards.
6th on the total rushing list.
I think he's even 5th. I think he went up. But
yeah, he's passed a couple of people this year.
Mm-hmm. But
I would say he'd be done, though. He's getting a lot older. He's taken so much punishment. He's been so healthy his whole year, or his whole career, which is crazy. He hasn't missed much at all in his career.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And that's a position where a lot of people miss games, running backs.
Yeah.
They get hit 20, 30 times a game.
Yeah.
But, how about that Niners-Seahawks game? The 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks lose. Can you believe it? They've been playing so well, but they lose in overtime 26-23. Robbie Gould hits a field goal with about 3 minutes left. Seattle Seahawks, they commit a franchise record 14 penalties for 140 yards, and that was a big factor in their loss. As the 49ers finally beat Seattle for the first time since 2013, they stop a 9-game losing streak against Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, and the Seattle Seahawks.
It only took 5 years.
Richard Sherman got his win.
And 4 head coaches, by the way. Ever since that win in 2013, they had Harbaugh as coach, then they had Tom Sula as head coach, then they had Chip Kelly as head coach, and then they had Kyle Shanahan as head coach until they finally won against the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah. So I just got an update that tests on injured foot of Frank Gore indicate that he's probably not playing again. I think you mentioned that, and it looks like they might be putting him on the IR. We'll know later today.
It is really late in the season, so it makes sense.
But, Frank Gore, since he might not be playing football the rest of the year, he will have some free time. You know what I like to do in my free time? I like to listen to audiobooks.
Do you now?
I do, and there's no better place to listen than Audible. Get your first audiobook free, along with 2 selected Audible original titles and exclusive fitness programs when you start a free 30-day trial. So take the time to listen on Audible. Visit audible.com/GSMC book or text GSMC book to 500 500. Again, this is a special offer for fans of this podcast. Again, go to audible.com/GSMCbook, or you don't even have to do that. You can just text the code GSMCbook to 500 to get started today.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by
Welcome back, all you football fanatics, to the Fantasy Football just regular football podcast. Fantasy football. We do a Fantasy Football podcast. That is later today, actually. So look out for that. But we're going to talk about the rest of the games. What else do we have on the game list, my friend Mark?
Well, we've covered 6 games. Why don't we shoot back over to Saturday real quick before we jump back into
That's
the Sunday
right.
game?
We did have games on Saturday. How weird is that? We had the Browns and Broncos.
It felt like a preseason game.
The score was a preseason game, didn't it? 1 point, 17-16, wasn't it?
The crowd felt like they were at a preseason game. They're like, oh, yeah, go team. Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, their team was losing to the Browns, so I think that's what did most of them in.
The Broncos' slim postseason hopes, I believe, have just come crumbling down.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
So nobody wants
credits
to
for anyone
hear
that gets that. Do you know what song that's from?
No.
That's Hulk Hogan's theme song.
Nobody cares about wrestling.
I think you were wrong on that one, but okay.
The Cleveland Browns 17-16 Baker Mayfield, and the Browns 6-7-1. Which every week that passes, we're just reminded that Hugh Jackson is terrible.
Yeah, because
it's not that hard to win, right?
The thing is, we've talked about this so often that he had such a talented roster and couldn't get the job done. Last year, understandable. I understand
their
maybe
expectations are going to be sky high next year.
Yeah, but I'm saying like last year they were so bad. I got that they weren't playing well, and I got 0-16. I would have thought 1-15 at worst, but it's Hugh Jackson, so it makes sense. But this year you had all the talent in the world. You have arguably the youngest and most bright future for a defense, and a great quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Young, talented backfield with Nick Chubb at the helm. Landry is a receiver. Like you couldn't go wrong with this team.
You love the Browns. That's your AFC team, huh?
That is. Look, honestly, wouldn't you like this team? This team looks like it's a serious contender in the next coming years. This team is young and very talented. They just need some miles on them.
Next year will be big.
Yeah, absolutely. And you couldn't win with this team? You got one win and a tie with this young core? Like, I'm sorry, no. That's why you got fired. That's why the Bengals somehow won a game, by the way. We'll talk about that one later. But honestly, with whoever is up for head coaching position and are looking to be a Browns head coach, no?
I think they're a very attractive job. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's so odd to say. Like, the breezing Browns is like a death sentence. Now it's like a young man's dream. You know what I mean? It's like a young player's, like, that's where you want to go if you're a young player in the NFL right now. Because you want to be around other young, talented players and build that chemistry and build that, your veteran attitude around other young players. So I think it's a great place to play. And, if Greg Williams is doing this well as the head coach, just imagine when an actual, like a contending head coach can do with this team.
Yeah.
In Cleveland, the future is looking brighter than ever.
I would say so. I would say they finally have a quarterback, and that's the biggest factor. Yeah, a lot of those things that you said are good, a lot of young talent, But the fact is that Mayfield is looking like he's a good player, and that's the biggest factor for sure.
Yeah. And I liked his answers when he was being interviewed. Like, with his team winning, do you feel like you're helped a lot? He's like, I'm just doing my part, and the teammates are doing theirs, and just team effort. I'm like, I like that answer because that's a selfless answer. Mm-hmm. And he had all these attitude problems going into the draft because of his incident in Kansas. But, man, he's really turned I'm becoming a believer, and I'm becoming to respect him a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Houston at the Jets. The Texans get the win 29-22 over New York. Sam Darnold, he just could not keep pace with Deshaun Watson. But with 2:15
would you call
left,
Deshaun Watson comeback player of the year? Would you consider that? Because he's coming off that ACL injury?
I would say so. Who else is in the conversation? I'm trying to think right now. But Watson looked really good before he got hurt.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I know, but isn't a comeback player like coming off injury or something like that? Or coming off a bad season?
Andrew Luck has to win it.
You think so?
Andrew Luck has to win it.
It's close between those two, though.
It's close, but he just has to win it.
Just based off how successful the Texans are this season. That's all I'm going to bring up. But, I mean, he had 253 with 2 touchdowns. And, I'm sorry, that was Darnold who had 253. He had 294 and 2 touchdowns. They had almost identical stats when you look at it.
Yeah, Watson, in the NFL, even the bad teams are not as bad and are not that far from the good teams. And this game was close.
Well, they're both professional teams. I think that's what people really forget.
Every team's got a lot of good talent on the team,
But I think one was head and shoulders by the rest. What really put them over the Texans, I mean, is DeAndre Hopkins, without question. 10 receptions, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's just a beast, man. Like an absolute
how
beast.
How can you not put him in your top 3 best receivers in the NFL? Like, seriously, if anyone had a top 3 list, how do you not even consider Sam Darnold? Or not, DeAndre Hopkins. Jeez.
Yeah, Hopkins is up there. I would say for sure in the top 3.
He has to be. He's been playing so unbelievable. And then that play where he rolled his ankle pretty bad at the last touchdown, that wasn't an easy catch to make.
Yeah, no,
but he makes those so easily.
So let's move on. We got a bunch of games to cover here quickly, but let's talk about the Titans 17-0 over the Giants. What are your thoughts?
I have no idea what's going on.
The Giants lost to a team by 3 scores, despite that team's quarterback only passing for 88 yards. That's ridiculous. Saquon Barkley had his worst game as a pro, I believe. He was bottled up. Derrick Henry had another big game. I didn't really see that coming back-to-back, but 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that pretty much sums up the game. It's pretty boring. Titans ran the ball well, and that was basically it.
I was super disappointed in Saquon Barkley. Like, that was the guy that I thought would have at least a positive game, help that team out somehow. But 31 yards rushing, that's got to be his worst in his career so far, huh?
Yeah, probably. So Baltimore takes care of the Bucs 20-12. Not a pretty win at all, but it was wet, it was rainy, it was muddy. Lamar Jackson in that run game, they took control.
Gus Edwards had a great game.
Yeah, he did. He had 104 yards. So anyways, 20-12. Baltimore stays with the course as they improve to 8-6 and try and make that last playoff spot. They can still win the division. It's still up in the air for them. Their whole season can go either they could win the division, they could get a wild card, or they could be out. Everything is still in play for the Baltimore Ravens. How about the Redskins? 16-13 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your boy Josh Johnson, man. How about him?
Yeah, he played well.
Yeah, he did enough to get the win. They kind of squeezed out the clock there at the end, kick a game-winning field goal. They go ahead. And it was his first start in more than 7 years, and they come out victorious. And the Jaguars' terrible season continues. Cody Kessler had 9 passing completions out of 17 attempts, 57 yards and an interception. That's got to be one of the worst quarterback stat lines I have ever seen. 9 for 17 for 57 yards and a touchdown. Wow. What else do we got here? How about we jump over to the Lions and the Bills? Bills get the win 14-13. I think we saw that as being an ugly game, right?
Yes.
Both teams are 5-9 now.
We saw that coming.
Robert Foster had another big game for the Bills receiving. Josh Allen, he scrambled around, he ran around, he ran one in, he passed for one, but Yeah, the Lions, they lose again. So, I think the last game of the day. Oh, we got two more. I'm sorry. How about the Bengals and the Raiders? Jeff Driscoll, him and Joe Mixon, they get a win. Joe Mixon had a big game. 27 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. Were you surprised by this game?
Yeah. I was surprised by all the games. Let's get honest. I was surprised by 100% of the games.
100% of the games, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this game, I mean, the Raiders fall to 3-11, but they improve on their draft position, so not all is lost. And then the last game of the day, the Falcons, they actually might have had the best day. They crush the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and even though they didn't have the most points out of anyone because the Vikings did, they pounded on the Cardinals. But the Cardinals win in the long run as they are now the number 1 overall draft selection in next year's draft. As the 49ers, when they win their game, they move down to number 4. So I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing for them, but we'll see because, maybe Joey Bosa may not be the guy everyone thinks he's going to be. Who knows? But maybe the Niners will end up with another great player in Josh Allen or Greedy Williams. So
Tevin Coleman had a great game for the Falcons. So did Matt Ryan, but Tevin Coleman had 145 yards on 11 carries. That is a nice 14 yards per carry average.
Well, he had like a big 50-yard run that got called back.
Mm-hmm.
So add that.
Josh Rosen had a terrible game. He got beat up. He got sacked 6 times. He got hit a bunch other. 132 yards, 2 picks. He got
beat up.
Poor Josh Rosen.
He's waking up sore today.
Poor Josh Rosen as he will face Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh next week when they play the Rams, a pissed-off Rams team. That is not going to be fun. They may want to consider benching him like they did in the second part of this game.
What quarter do you think Josh Rosen will be decapitated?
Halfway through the first.
Ooh, okay. That's a good guess. I'm going to say second.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike Glennon will come back on the field. The Bears paid him $15 million. Can we not forget about that?
The last 2 games for the Cardinals are the Rams and Seahawks, and both teams are going to be needing wins. It looks like maybe Seattle won't, but it's possible. But, man.
Well, Seattle's might be.
It depends how they do against Kansas City.
True, very true.
It really does. But, man, you got to consider benching Rosen for his health and for his confidence, I think.
I wouldn't call it benching. I would just call him sitting him out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to call it benching because that's such a negative term, like he's playing so bad you have to bench him. I would just say sitting him out just for, like you said, his health and making sure he doesn't break any bones while he's getting sacked because his offensive line is, how do you describe it? Traffic cones.
Mm-hmm.
You see them and you avoid them.
Yeah, so anyways, that
bad
will
way.
wrap up yesterday's action.
You know what Josh Rosen should do on sidelines is maybe read a book or listen to a book. What would you do if we all listen more? Listening to audiobooks inspires us, motivates us, even brings us closer. And there's no better place to listen than Audible. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, and now Audible members get more than ever before. Each month, they get 3 titles of their choice, 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals, and fitness programs that they can't get anywhere else. There's never been a better time to experience Audible. Try it for free for 30 days by visiting audible.com/GSMC book or by texting GSMC book to 500-500. Once again, that's GSMC book to 500-500 or go to audible.com/GSMC book.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by
Welcome back, all you sports football fanatics, to the GSMC Football Podcast.
Sports football fans?
Yes, sports ball.
Yay, sports.
You sound like one of those girlfriend or boyfriends who doesn't like sports, but their other does, and they go, yeah, go team.
Yeah, local sports team.
That's like a guy trying to get a crowd to cheer for him during a comedy show or something.
There we go. All right, so what are we talking about next? Are we talking about Monday Night Football?
Are you ready for some football? Monday night party.
I don't know. After yesterday, I'm kind of over this week in the NFL. I hope this game provides me some sort of excitement.
Well, we got the New Orleans Saints, the 11-2 New Orleans Saints versus the 6-7 Carolina Panthers.
Oh, God. You had me. I was hooked when you said Saints, and then you said Panthers, and,
And
all that excitement went
who
out the
have
window.
lost multiple.
75 games in a row?
That's 5 games. Basically, 75 if you're in the NBA or the WNBA or the NFL or the baseball league.
No, before we looked it up earlier, we both couldn't remember the team that they had beaten last. That's how long it's been.
That's pretty bad, but I don't think that's our fault because
No,
it's
not
been
our
5
fault.
weeks.
It's their fault.
Yeah.
It's their fault that they haven't won since November the 4th. It's their fault that they haven't beat anybody since the Buccaneers. They have lost to these teams: the Steelers, the Lions, the Seahawks, the Bucks,
Okay,
and the Browns.
easy. Calm yourself, sir.
How do you lose to that many teams? Even the 49ers look at that and be like, "Ha, you lost to all those teams?" Mm-hmm. You know, even the Raiders are like, "Come on, dude, the Steelers."
Yes, seriously.
Yeah. So, anyways, wow. It's really hard to lose that many games in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
in
it
a
is.
row. Like, because every team we just talked about is like talented. Like,
Yes.
it's really hard to lose that many games in a row.
Because you have professional athletes, not
Super
college athletes,
yes.
professional athletes.
And every team, even the bad teams, have like 4 or 5 absolute studs on the team, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like absolute athletic freaks of nature that can just wreck games.
And in this situation, their stud is injured, but he's still playing.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of assuming that, but it looks like Cam Newton's hurt. I think that the least shocking news of the offseason will be if Cam Newton has surgery on his shoulder. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he does.
He can't hit any deep passes. I think teams know that. I think they know that.
But why wouldn't you just put in your backup? Like, why are you risking further injury? Because if it's rotator cuff problems, you could end his career by keep playing him.
Yeah, but
That's how I see it.
if they
at least.
lose today, I think that they'll remove him for the rest of the year.
I think if after this game, if they lose, he should get surgery right away, so he can be back full force next season.
We'll see.
Like, why stall the surgery until the off season?
There are a lot of NFL people though that say he's playing hurt. That it's not even a.
They're
argument.
super serial, you guys.
But anyways,
Do you remember that phrase, super serial?
I mean, I remember it.
Good
Yeah,
times.
Sure. Yeah. So anyways, let's talk about this game though. The Saints, they got back on track after that loss to the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. They beat the Bucks last week. Do you think they'll turn it back? They keep going forward. You know, they got that win against the Bucks. Maybe it wasn't the prettiest win, but it was a dominant performance. They won by 2 scores at the end of the day, 2 touchdowns. Are we going to see the good Saints tonight, or are we going to see the sometimes head-scratching Saints tonight?
They're playing a weak team in the Panthers, so I'm going to say we're going to see the MVP-like team that we see in the Saints, the best team in the NFL, arguably.
You know, based on what I've seen this weekend, I think it makes the most sense that the Panthers win this game. Because
Argumental.
Look at all these favorites that lost yesterday. Seattle against San Francisco. The Rams get beat at home by the Eagles. We saw a lot of teams underwhelm.
You bring a point.
Even the Cowboys, maybe a lot of people think they weren't the favorite against the Colts, but they got shut out. Like, man, we saw some underwhelming performances.
Are you think it's going to continue? You're saying it's going to continue?
I'm just saying that, like, if we're following the vibe of this week, right? If we're following the trend of what we saw in Week 15 of the NFL, we see the Panthers win this game. No?
Yeah, because we're in bizarre world at the moment.
But you see the Saints crushing the Panthers tonight, if I remember correctly. What was your prediction for this game?
I believe my score was 42-21.
It was 42-20. So
like the turkey, Ross is done. Fun fact for anyone that's a Friends reference.
Oh, God. Another Friends reference. Another one.
Yes.
Can you go a day without it?
I'm sorry. I'm like talking about one of the most popular shows of all time.
It's like a drug.
It's not like I was talking about like a show that no one knows. Everyone knows Friends.
So how many? I'm going to start tallying up your Friends reference this week. I won't even say it out loud. So then by the end of the week, I'll be like, Jeff, you've said a Friends reference 72 times.
And the big deal is what?
There is a hotline for this.
No, there isn't. It's called 1-800-Leave Me Alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me live my life. It's not like I'm doing something illegal. It's not like I'm doing drugs.
Sometimes I just wish you do that rather than...
I actually never even smoked weed before. Fun fact. No, I'm dead serious.
Clinton.
I'm dead serious, but okay.
I didn't inhale. Anyways.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Well, he said when he didn't inhale or whatever.
I don't remember that. I just remember him having supposed not sexual relations with his assistant. In reality, he actually did. Thus, in the
and then Maury shows up, Maury Povich, and the lie detector test determined that was a lie,
but it was in the Oval Office, which is like awesome. I give him so much props for that.
Is going on
That's
here.
The coolest thing ever.
All right, let's get back to football. I got the Panthers winning this game. You might say, Mark, you're crazy. Mark, you're dumb. Maybe I am. Maybe I'll be the moron of the week.
Wow, that's kind of harsh. I wasn't even going to call you that, but if you're going to call yourself that, I'm going to join in on it.
You say the Saints are good. I say the Panthers are due. They win 30-27. They will not lose 6 in a row.
If you said the Panthers were good, I was going to walk out.
No,
of
they're
this room.
just due. They're due for a win. Like they're due,
like
right?
due, like that's on the grass every morning.
They're like a hitter that's, a good hitter, but he's, in like a 1-for-37 slump. And you just know that, like, he's going to go on this tear, right? Like, at any moment, he's going to hit 3 bombs in a row.
Okay.
That's what I see. They hit 3 bombs in a row
tonight.
You
are allowed to think that.
We're going to see McCaffrey. We're going to see Curtis Samuel. We're going to see DJ Moore. And they're going to provide us some big plays. And the Saints are just not the same team on grass.
Yeah, true.
So maybe they struggle a little bit. Or maybe I just sound like a crazy
idiot. You do sound like a crazy idiot.
Maybe I've just had too much coffee.
I had coffee this morning, too.
Yeah?
And I feel fine. Yeah. I had a white chocolate mocha from Starbucks. I don't really drink a lot of sugar drinks, but I was desperate for coffee.
That was definitely sugary.
Yeah. Well, so it's one out of, like, every 6 months. I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I just thought, No, I mean, I feel it.
Yeah.
Now I know why.
I was out of sugar.
Your eyeballs, like...
No, I'm fine. Right I usually like with my coffee, I add sugar-free Coffee Mate.
Mm-hmm.
So adding sugar kind of like I feel kind of chubby at the moment, but I feel fine now. But it just worked out today.
Coffee Mate, is that like an Australian brand?
I don't know. It might be, but coffee. You never heard of Coffee Mate?
No, I have. But I just thought.
I never really thought of it that way. You gotta
somebody say that out loud, like Coffee Mate. Like I know that brand. I've seen it a million times. So like I've never said like
Coffee Mate.
Hey, you have any Coffee Mate? Like, but it's.
I never really thought about that either. You got a point. You got a point there. Yeah, I gotta buy some Coffee Mate, honestly.
All right. Well, we gotta go to a break. Maybe I'm the crazy moron. 30-27.
He is.
You say Saints win in a row. I say you're crazy. We'll say more stuff when we come back. How about that?
That sounds good. We'll say more words after this word break.
Yay,
words.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome, everyone, to the GSMC Football Podcast. We're on our final segment of the day. We're going to talk about the college bowl games because there were some this weekend.
Yeah, you and the other 5 people that watched the bowl games, I'd like to talk about what you saw. So what was your best and worst from the bowl games this weekend? And who won the Louisiana-New Orleans Jambalaya Bowl?
Wait, what?
The Louisiana.
You said a lot of words.
The Louisiana-New Orleans Jambalaya Bowl.
Well, in the Cure Bowl, I think is what you're trying to inform, Tulane beat Louisiana 41-24, but there were a lot of turnovers caused by Louisiana. There were a lot of fumbles, and they thought they were going to make a comeback. It was actually a pretty close game, but Tulane kind of got away from them. They played excellent on the offensive side and came back from those turnovers. So they took that game. That was my only in my bowl picks. That was my only loss. I got each other right. Like I said, I picked Utah State to go beat North Texas, and they just manhandled them 52-13. At half, it was 38-7. Like, this game was over by that point. And I picked Fresno State to go over Arizona State, and Fresno State did win. They were the ranked team going into that, 31-20. They played really well themselves. Arizona State did not have their best wide receiver who declared for the draft, so he wasn't not playing this game. His agent actually paid for him to fly to the bowl game so he watched them play, which was kind of cool. Georgia Southern barely beat Eastern Michigan 23-21. They play it was 21-20, and then it was going into like 2 minutes left in the game. It was a 2-minute drill basically. They drove down the field, throwing the ball right down the middle, just getting 20-yard after 20-yard play, and they scored a field goal to win the game. So that was fun to watch. I picked Georgia Southern to win that too. And then Appalachian State against Middle Tennessee State. But it was Appalachian State has been ranked in the AP poll.
Everybody knows them as the team that beat Michigan.
But they were ranked this year, actually, at 25. And I picked them to win, and they won against 45-13. So I am 5-1 at the moment.
Oh, wow. That's so good.
Thanks.
You're doing great, bud.
I'm doing awesome!
So what's next on tap? What are the next... Are we going to watch the...
Well, tomorrow we have Alabama, Birmingham against Northern Illinois.
what bowl is that?
I think I'm going to say
The
this.
Cheribundi Boca Raton Bowl?
Yes, it is the Boca Raton Bowl.
Oh, my God. These names.
I love them. I love these bowl games.
So who'd you pick for that one?
Let me check my bowl picks, actually. I will check.
No,
I have a list.
No idea because you don't really.
No. I always save my list
What about
just in
the
case.
DXL Frisco Bowl on Wednesday?
Oh, well, since Birmingham, Birmingham wasn't a school, wasn't a football program at one point, and then won their conference this year, I picked them to go over Northern Illinois.
To win the Boca Raton Bowl.
Yes. And then I think Wednesday also there is a
San Diego
State versus Ohio in the Frisco Bowl, which I picked San Diego State to win.
But Thursday is the real bowl game that everybody's excited about. The Bad
Marshall in South
Boy
Florida.
Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. What?
South Florida versus Marshall.
What the hell is a Gasparilla Bowl?
Sounds like something from the 1800s. But I picked South Florida to win that one. I had to pick an underdog in that one.
All
Yeah.
right. Anyways.
Friday is also Toledo versus Florida International.
All right, we'll talk about
And,
those games later.
West-
But we
okay.
got to talk about Chris Boswell and his 13 missed field goals this year. Is he lucky to not be fired today?
I think he's lucky that so many other kickers are so bad that
He still stands above the rest, though, in terms of being bad, you know?
I don't know.
He makes Mason Crosby look like Robbie Gold, you know?
The thing with that is there are so many kickers who have been playing absolutely terrible that he's just lucky there. If there weren't so many other terrible kickers, he would not be in a job right now. So he's just lucky.
You know what's funny? That whole moving back the point, extra point, has actually been effective. People were like, it's not going to do anything. It's actually it's changed the game. Wouldn't you agree? It's changed
100%. I agree.
No longer.
No extra point is guaranteed anymore.
Even at what are they at 80%? That's still you're missing
80% is a
5.
slow.
Yeah.
It was at 99 at one point, I think.
It's changed the game.
Yeah. It's almost been because it was almost like a guarantee. And now when someone misses, it's like, oh, he missed it. Well, I guess we got to move on. It's not like, are you kidding me? He missed it. It's not that feeling anymore.
I guess we got to end the program with the feel-good story of the weekend, and that's Bears lineman Charles Leno Jr. after the game, after their clinching division-clinching win. He celebrates by proposing to his girlfriend on the field on video.
The worst part is he kept the wedding ring in his pants during the game, so it was all sweaty.
Nah, he didn't.
I know.
And
Although she said
that would
no.
have been interesting, though, because it was in that box. Like, you could see this box like out of his waistband or something. Because it was like a.
Does he have a hernia? What's going on?
Yeah. Did the referee check to see if anybody had like anything?
Foreign object.
Yeah. I don't think that's allowed. But she says
Well,
yes.
That affect anything?
And he goes home a division champion and an engaged man. So congratulations to Charles Leno Jr.
And his girlfriend didn't seem very surprised he was proposing. I think she was totally expecting it.
Or she's just playing it real cool. Maybe. Who knows?
Well, usually when you see them, like they're like, oh my gosh, she was like, sweet, you're actually proposing me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, congratulations again. Congratulations to the Bears, though. Matt Nagy, he's got to be, in my opinion, front runner for Coach of the Year. Bill O'Brien, maybe. Who would you say?
Well, that's a tough one, but honestly, O'Brien might be taking it.
You know what? It's still coming down to maybe the last few games, right?
Think they'll do rock paper scissors for it?
And it's one of those things too. That
can you do co-winners?
It's a regular season award, right? Like,
yeah.
They don't care about the playoffs, which kind of sucks. Because I feel like that would be the tiebreaker in this.
So who has the better record, Nagy or
both
O'Brien?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, that's the question.
And then who goes further, right?
Yeah. Well, you can't do it. Who goes further because it's only regular season.
I gotta go with Nagy though. If I had to pick one, because he's doing it with a quarterback that's less proven, and the Texans were closer to being a winning team, in my opinion, than the Bears were before the season started.
True. Trubinsky was not as a definite, because Deshaun Watson had a good season last year before he tore his ACL.
Yeah, he was really good.
He might get comeback player of the year, him or Andrew Luck, but Nagy or Bill O'Brien, if either one wins it, they deserve it. I think we can both agree on that.
All right, well, that's it.
Thank you so much for joining us
tomorrow.
Join us tomorrow. We will be talking about Monday Night Football outcome between the Saints and the Panthers. See if Mark's stupid or I'm stupid. We will see you then. Have a good day, everybody.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.